Well. Long time, right? No, Megan Me will not be involved in this episode. Rick and Morty's back. I'm sorry I couldn't really get you any episode reviews for the first half of the season. Yeah, we were actually halfway through as of tonight. Season 7 has rolled by that quickly. I was busy the last couple of months, so obvious things that end up happening. I was sick, actually, some of it. Can't really help too much of that, right? See if I can get this. Just trying to get the audio up quite a bit. Okay, let's get through it. Joricky, episode 2. I think I now have to comment on the voice changes for Rick and Morty. The problem is that these voice performances seem like somebody really doing more of an impression of Rick Sanchez and Morty Smith. They don't actually seem like someone who's actually trying to be Rick Sanchez and Morty Smith. And often you can hear it in their performances. Let's get to Joricky, especially when Rick says, my brain. It just sounds like somebody like doing a Rick Sanchez voice reading that line. Unlike Justin Roiland, who made you think that, oh no, you're insulting Justin Roiland, who's now become Rick Sanchez. That episode really had quite a bit of an interesting twist to the Freaky Friday trend that's always been going around. Let's face it, a lot of TV shows have done let's switch places. It's one of my favorite tropes, actually. Because, you actually get to see how characters react to being in someone else's shoes. There are quite a few done very well. Gravity Falls comes to mind. Yeah, if you ever see the Gravity Falls Freaky Friday episode, believe me, watch it. It's pretty good. Especially when Dipper and Mabel change places. Well, this one kind of took a more of an interesting pose because when they finally got switched places between Rick and Jerry, Rick immediately shoots himself. And of course, Jerry has no idea how to control the cybernetic body of Rick Sanchez. So he ends up killing himself. And of course, the poor garage had no idea how to reassemble the pieces of this absolute disaster. Now, the first part of the half of the episode was pretty interesting. Watching how the two, Jerry and Rick, were now officially kind of combined into two different people. And it's almost like you're watching two new characters for the first time. Just watching them basically go throughout the galaxy causing nothing but problems. What I also find kind of interesting is that Morty's a drug dealer. Yeah, this might be a case where we're starting to see some of Dan Harmon's problems as being a head writer. Yeah, Dan's not necessarily the guy we often think of as being a good writer. He has a lot of weaknesses. And sadly, this is where some of it actually does show up. See, Dan often thinks he's a lot funnier than he actually is. He doesn't understand it's the people around him who really make the show the way it is. And I have no idea, because Morty Smith is supposed to be the quote unquote conscience between the two. Not somebody actually selling drugs. Now, of course, comes the monstrosity of when they finally captured the Smith family, the mafia. Were kind of interesting because one element, 1 second, they're afraid of Rick Sanchez. Next moment, oh, we're ready to see you start shooting at Rick Sanchez. No, wait, if you're afraid of Rick Sanchez, you're probably coming up with a strategy of when you're going to try to kill him. Because, it'd be stupid to, open fire out of nowhere. Ugh. And then when they finally captured the Smith family, this is another little problem. I did not like that monstrosity, the combined body of Rick and Jerry, or Jerricky. Yeah, this is where the thing really just collapsed for me. Whatever fun this episode had was just gone. Watching these two with basically it's Rick's nihilism. There's absolutely no Jerry in this character. And that's the problem. There's no parts of Jerry in this character. It's just all Rick. Just Rick without a filter. He's not fun. He's just bland. Just a bland character. Now I know, of course, the neighbor bringing back the rake. Yeah, it's relatively just like a minor plot point. Now, I really would have liked that they showed trying to fool the neighbor with a hologram of the rake. That actually would have been funny. Nope. Now, of course, the after credits scene with 30-year-old Rick trying to make sense out of Jerry's misunderstanding how machines work, basically thinking they're all springs and gears. They got kind of funny. But yeah, overall, this episode was very weak. Not relatively fun at all. Let's get to the next episode. Air Force Wong. And we bring back quite a few characters, like Dr. Wong, who, for some reason, is now Rick Sanchez's therapist. Wait, what? Rick did whatever he could for years to try to prevent himself from going to therapy. Remember how he turned himself into a pickle? Once again, here we go. More inconsistent writing. Is this the Rick Sanchez we've been following for since 2013? Yeah. Rick would do whatever it takes not to go to therapy. Now, let's just say something about his drinking. Okay, you could probably mix that into this episode. But no, it's never really explained why he's going to Dr. Wong now. He's just doing it. And of course, leads us to the president. The president apparently is right outside in the hall, trying to get Rick to basically battle the Loch Ness Monster, who's now in Lake Erie. Okay, granted, it's kind of funny. It's a whole off-screen battle. Apparently, the Loch Ness Monster is now cybernetic. But once again, this is off-screen. We really don't know what happens here. But you understand. It's just basically to get us to the next point. Amazing enough, Virginia's not for lovers. Funny, last time I went to Virginia, it was real. They were very not like lovers. Let's see how many people from Virginia give me downvotes. Go for it. Go for it. Log in right now. Yeah, Virginia is now for lovers. And if you don't like it, stay out of Virginia. Apparently, the president is basically left out. And let's bring back one of the greatest characters we kind of forgot about. Unity. The hive mind from season 2. One of my favorite episodes, by the way. This might be my favorite episode of all time. I love Unity's episode. I particularly love how, in the end, it basically puts Rick basically rethinking about what he's been doing all his life. So let's see how they screw this one up. Let's see here. Rick has invented a device to basically start fighting Unity. Basically causing him to basically puke out all what Unity really is. That vomit. You know, the fact that Unity's victims all receive vomit into their mouth. And the only way to get it out is to vomit it right back out. And apparently the president and Rick basically had developed these shields to basically cut off entire states. mainly this time Virginia. Yeah, West Virginia's basically forgotten about it, aren't they? uh, and of course, eventually, Rick basically wants to get out of this whole situation. Basically tells Unity that, look, it's over. You've taken over an entire state. I told you not to come to our planet. It's weird, though, that the Unity of this universe has had the same exact story beat for beat. It would have been kind of funny if threw in some like things that basically trigger him off a bit. Like, say some events didn't go down the same way. But, Rick had every reason to cut Unity off. After all, I mean, she kind of dumped him. Which ironically led to Rick trying to kill himself at the end of that episode from season 2. Now, my biggest problem with this, of course, has to be the president. The president is usually a pretty cool character played by Keith David. I particularly like him for one reason. He adds to the wackiness and the over-the-topness of Rick Sanchez, especially when it comes to fights. Don't forget, the president usually goes 1-for-1 with Rick. Every time Rick has an invention, well, the president has an answer. When the president has an answer to one of his projects, Rick has another one, another question. So it always becomes a tit for tat. This one, they made him look weak. And once again, leads to some of the problems with season 7 so far. And now, the president, big weakness, he needs approval. Okay, to play fun here. Yeah, approval ratings mean a lot when it comes to being elected. After all, I mean, politicians love being approved of. Even though lately it doesn't seem that way, since most politicians projected approval is, let's go for 48%. Who cares about the other groups of people, right? So basically what it is that since Virginia's under a shield and Unity did not let them go, well, they're just kind of mindless zombies. Which is weird. You could probably have played a good episode on that. Just these mindless zombies of Virginia walking around. You could actually have a pretty good episode just based on that. But no, we had to incorporate it into the hive mind, didn't we? And yeah, somehow the president is able to get hold of the hive mind in Virginia and start taking over the United States. Saying, the president is awesome. Which is weird. Wouldn't he have a raid for that? I mean, kind of established. The CIA seems to have inventions for everything that Rick has ever come up with. And of course, finally, Unity and Rick come to an accord when Rick just comes aboard her ship with Dr. Wong. And they explain to her, like, look, you got to do a full-out invasion. Just take out the president. Which they did. To get everything back to the reset button. And amazing enough, Rick and Unity just, this time Unity, once again, is sick of Rick. Oh, how shocking. You took one of the best characters here. I liked Unity. You can do a lot of things with this character. She's not even like a main focus of this episode. Kind of off. The president's still the main focus. This episode could have been so much better. It wasn't. Once again, leads to the big problems of the season so far. And the next episode was even worse. As in, it was probably one of the best episodes of the series, period. Yeah, I gotta talk about it. Spaghetti Planet. Episode 4 of the season. Yeah, this is one of the best episodes of the entire series, including that ending. Yeah, apparently Rick has been making spaghetti for the family for quite some time. And almost go like with the character. Would you ever expect him to cook? No. He would try to find some backwards way of making something out of the way thing. It's almost like the remember the car batteries from season 2? Would it be easier just to go to Automac, AutoZone to get a car battery? Even he says that. He just called AAA. Instead, he invents his own little universe for it. So it makes sense. Of course, the spaghetti would be from some people. Going on with the Soylent Green joke. And yeah, there is a Soylent Green reference in this episode. If you ever look at the box. And finally, Morty finds out, and they finally go on an adventure, which leads to the other problem season 7 so far. There isn't a lot of Rick and Morty here. Yeah, it's usually Rick doing something, not Rick and Morty. And finally, we have a Rick and Morty adventure. I wonder if that actually helped in the reviews overall score, right? When we finally find out that the only way the spaghetti gets to make is that the people on this planet have to commit suicide. They have to get murdered, just regular human parts. Die of old age or natural causes, regular human parts. Spaghetti! I'm surprised he didn't start handing out toasters by bathtubs. It would actually have been pretty fun in this episode. You had so many other ways to show people, offing themselves. Including the fact when Morty went to the funeral and saying, we're not werewolves or anything. We just, when you kill yourselves, you become what people on our earth simply says, food. Yeah, they make quite a bit of references to, slaughterhouses and how we handle them. Yeah, it's not like, other shows have done it before. Made these references. Including that uncomfortable reference from Madoka Magica, which is easy to basically define. Watch Madoka Magica. Just have fun. It's only 12 episodes. 25 minutes per episode. Have fun with it. Watch it. There's some homework. And of course, they go home. Apparently, Spaghetti Night's done forever. That is until Spaghetti Planet figures out they can profit off of this, inviting Morty to come back. At that point, they show how an elderly lady who was pretty much on her last legs got euthanized, and they fed the remains to Morty, who's, for all intents and purposes, was kind of iffy on the whole situation because he later found out that she kind of wanted to die. And interesting enough, it's like, no, I think I'm done. I have something to go. Who wants some ethical spaghetti? Pretty good cutaway there. Once again, leads to the fact that the staff in the show is still pretty funny, pretty dead on. And of course, Rick coming in to basically do what he usually does. Destroy with his utter nihilism with the can he found at Space Walmart. Morty's ethical SpaghettiOs. And they went back to the planet to find out that they dimmed the sun. I don't know how that happened. And they were playing endless reality TV, making fun of the fact that Time Warner's, what used to be Time Warner, was bought out by Discovery and is now Discovery Media. Sorry, Warner Discovery Media, which is something that David Zaslav was best known for, doing a lot of reality television. I wonder if that's a jab at him or just a jab at the company in general. Great quip, by the way. making it show that, yeah, it is kind of depressing at times to think about it. Oh, and the fact that all the radio is morning zoos. One of the most annoying radio formats there is. It's always some guy making a subject. Then, of course, as a female, they often call it the whole because she doesn't really provide much to it. Just like someone to bring some utter morality to it. And it's always the same subjects with the same reactions. I used to listen to a program called Opie and Anthony, and they often made fun of this way of doing radio. Go ahead, watch on YouTube. There's plenty of Opie and Anthony clips. They're making fun of morning zoos. Oh, and the fact that the bridges now are basically surrounded by spaghetti strainers. Interesting enough, Morty goes back to the president of the planet, and they end up negotiating like ways like, hey, I got a great idea. Let's do cloning. And they had a reference to an Andrew Garfield movie from, I think it was 2012. I haven't really watched that movie. I'm probably going to watch it now. So I'm really interested in it. Where these two clones found out they were food, so they went out and basically blasted each other's head off. Therefore, they can't become spaghetti. So I was like, well, okay, look, we made them truly human. They're going to reject it. So how human can they be? So they kept bringing these clones further and further down the evolutionary scale until it's just a torso of a hand. And in the hand, they put a knife and they stabbed their neck, killing themselves. And, of course, came the groups. I wonder if this is a commentary to a lot of media. Where, of course, you had the torsos have rights. And, of course, the other one's like, we want real spaghetti. Then, of course, they noticed that the torso have rights have basically also put themselves around with dynamite. So they're like, the people want real spaghetti. Like, oh, you got the moral superior position. All you have to do is press the button. Of course, they figured out that all they wanted to do was eat the spaghetti when they should kill themselves. They end up blowing each other up, which left them wondering how long before society collapses, which is not long. I particularly love how the aliens who've been depending on the spaghetti start coming in and invade the planet, basically harassing their citizens, saying, kill yourself, giving out drugs and weapons to kill themselves with. More dark humor, please. We eventually find ourselves to Fred Bunk. And who, by the way, who's on his last legs, but doesn't want to be euthanized because he hates the idea of being considered spaghetti. So they introduced him to the fact that, hey, one more time, and this is it. It's all over forever. And then leads to one of the best montages this series has ever had. Simply the life of Fred Bunk. How he was born, he loves jam, he wanted to be an architect, he was in love with this girl named Amber. He invented these things that look like Legos, so on, so on. And to me, it's actually one of the best parts of the episode. It's very emotional, very, it gets to you. It's definitely kind of jarring, but almost the perfect type of jarring. And this is, beyond a reasonable doubt, one of the best parts of this series they've ever done. That montage. The music even hits just as well. Music, by the way, is available on iTunes and Apple Music. Go listen to it now. Kotomi, Live Forever. All you got to do is ask Siri. I see if my phone picks up on that. And so, yeah, this was one of the best episodes the series ever had, which is weird. I had to go through one okay episode, two not so okay episodes, And now we ended up with the best episode of the series. And that leads us up to tonight, episode 5, which will be coming on in, I think, a half hour or so. So if you get a chance, please go watch it. I hope to be doing an episode within this week. If not, I'll probably end up doing another one of these extended reviews. Tell you the truth, I kind of miss doing this, but unfortunately, I was just kind of busy the last couple of weeks. And that kind of sucks. Like last month when the first episode came out, I was actually in Philadelphia. I'm actually going away next week. Not the week we're in, the week after. Actually, a week from tonight. So, until then, hasta la bye-bye. And please, keep watching Rick and Morty. So, bye.